Hello guys and welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to go over Tormented Rovio, the dream bosses, I guess past bosses. The bosses that you fight in the past, I guess I'll call them. And also Pinstress. I've yet to no-hit Lost Lace, but I've gotten to the third phase of the fight in when I tried to no-hit Lost Lace. I'm planning to make a fourth part to this series, which will be the final part where I talk about the Lost Lace no-hit and talk about some of the ones that I either did no-hit and didn't V-clip, or just some of the ones I almost no-hit and I just have tips on, really. So the fourth part is probably going to be underwhelming, but this one's going to be like the main part. Like this one I'm going to be going over all of like the hardest bosses. Well, I guess Cross King Kong isn't that hard to no-hit, but still, some of the other ones. Sadly I did not no-hit Green Prince, even though I easily could have, but he has a long run back, so I didn't want to. So the first one that we're going to start off with for today will be the Pinstress. And also, I've been rewatching some of the videos I've posted, and I noticed that the subtitles are horrible. So yeah, do not put on subtitles whenever watching my videos, because they are going to get it wrong, especially considering the names of most of these bosses are completely made up. So let's go over the Pinstress for the first one. I was just fighting Lost Lace earlier, in fact. So of course with this one, firstly, if you just leave the arena, if you just exit the arena after getting hit, then that basically makes them reset the fight. So like they just go back to the middle and you have to challenge them again. So that resets that resets the fight, so you don't have to do a run back if you want to have a shorter run back for this boss. Of course, you won't have to do a run back at all with Silksong, and whenever Silksong gets a Godhood DLC or something where you can just fight the bosses without a run back. But for now, that's to help you with the run back. But yeah, just remember that I guess technically they have two phases. So after you do enough damage to them, they will start using that attack. And they will also start throwing two sets of pins every now and then. Sometimes they will start with the cross attack, I guess, though. Whenever they throw two sets of pins, the thing you want to remember is that they're gonna move a little bit after throwing the first ones, so the two sets aren't just gonna be in the exact same spot. They're gonna move a little bit whenever they do them. So whenever dodging two sets of pins that they throw at you, you want to you want to dodge the first one, or just parry them in general. You want to dodge the first one, use cross stitch or parry if you want to for all of them, since they're very easy to normally parry, and cross stitching them is harder, and I don't see any benefits out of doing it, but you can if you want to. Even though I think it's better to cross stitch this attack. But still, whenever they throw out those two sets of pins, you want to dodge the first one, and remember that the second set is not going to be in the same spot. So you want them to kind of move to the side a little bit to where the first one was landed to ensure you dodge it. Because even if you're standing in a safe spot to dodge the first set, the second set might get you. Apart from that, I don't have any tips for this one. This is probably the boss I have the least tips for out of the bosses in the game, I guess. Sorry, I have a little bit of a runny nose right now for some reason. I didn't notice I had a runny nose before, but I'm only just now getting it for this whilst I'm recording this video. That's annoying. So yeah, their cross stitch, well not cross stitch, but their cross attack, this one, unlike Second Sentinel, it kind of goes out a lot further forwards from them, rather than going a lot further behind them, because they do it mid-air. So it's very easy to just parry it, or just go directly underneath where the cross stitch I don't know, just like standing in the right spot will make you go underneath it, but standing directly underneath their hitbox is not going to work, but it makes it better for parrying. Now, anyways, basically, the next boss I'll be going over is going to be Tormented Trobio. So, firstly, this guy is, from what I've heard my brother call it, the Big T. Basically, for noticing this guy, kind of just dodge. I'm very excited to go over this one since this is one of the nodes I'm most proud of. This boss and Scarcing Carmelita are the two bosses I'm most proud of no-hitting because they're very difficult to no-hit. But basically, whenever he goes to the center of the arena, he has like a very high chance of just spawning in 3 balls whenever he goes into the center of the arena with whilst he's like underneath the screen, like on the trapdoors. So yeah, I guess that's good to know. So normally, like if he doesn't move as far as he normally does when he's about to come out, normally that means he's just going to spawn in the 3 balls. Now, of course, the balls can go diagonal and in a plus shape, like a cross and a plus. But of course, that doesn't really matter. You can find out in the first 5 seconds of the fight. But yeah, he can also just come out of the middle of the screen normally if he wants to, rather than shooting out balls. Just really annoying because of that, because you have them in this, and so normally it's good to just hit it, so you either damage him or you hit the balls away from you whenever he does that. And parrying and other silk skills actually break the balls, so that's good to know. So if you use something like, I guess, what's it called? The sharp darts, you can actually just break like all of the balls all at once. In one of my earlier attempts I used it when fighting him. It's actually pretty good, but I decided I would use cross stitch anyways just to get better at timing my parries. Now, also, this boss actually takes forever to stagger. Therefore, he's only really going to stagger like 3 or 4 times, even if you have 0 needle upgrades. Even if you have 0 needle upgrades, he's still probably only going to stagger 3 times. So, I guess like, after the 2nd or 3rd stagger, depending on how many needle upgrades you have, I had 2 whenever I did in here. I had 2 needle upgrades for the whole game until I did Clawfather and Lost Lace. Those are the only 2 bosses that I had 4 needle upgrades for. I haven't even beaten Lost Lace yet, so it's really just Clawfather. So, yeah. I guess just noticing this guy is very hard. That's all I can really say. So normally after the 2nd or 3rd stagger, he's going to die very soon after that. For me, after the 2nd stagger, that was like marking like the 2/3 of the way. Like he would stagger like every time I got 1/3 of the way through the fight. So yeah. Also, fun fact, you'll never be able to unhear this once you hear it. The Tormented Trobio boss theme is just a choir chanting Trobio's name in different pitches and different lengths. Just listen, now. Just listen to this. Hear it now? Yep, it says Trobio. Maybe even the subtitles could pick that up because of how close it is to an actual word, but I don't think Trobio is actually a name. Trobian is a name, and that's like the name of the guy who voice acted Trobio, but Trobio itself is not a name, so it probably wouldn't show up on the subtitles actually. But yeah, so next, I'm going to go over the memory bosses. So of course I already showed in my first part, this of the Cross King Kong. That was like one of my attempts, and it's very funny that actually happened because I'm pretty sure I beat him 4th try, maybe 5th try, or at least I know hit him 4th try, maybe 5th try. So yeah, I think I'll go over him next. Even if I could go over Nihilith next and go in order, Cross King Kong's just easier, so I'll go over him next. I don't know if I'll be able to go. I don't know if I'll be able to go over Scarsing Carmelita in this video, because the fight is literally 4 minutes. No, not even 4 minutes. 4.5 minutes long, so I don't think I'll be able to go over that one. I'll be able to go over the other dream bosses, I think, or I guess memory bosses. I call them dream bosses because you go into their dreams, but you're not really going into their dreams, you're kind of just going into their memories. So, yeah. This guy, let me think. I can't really think of any tips right now. Just don't get mesmerized by how cool he looks, because he does look kind of awesome. But, like, I don't know if I really have any tips. So whenever he repositions himself by doing a jump, he often just jumps into the middle of the screen. So I guess that's good to know. His reposition jump is weird, and normally if he does 2 attacks in the exact same spot in a row like that, like you saw here, look, he just won't spawn in anything. For some reason he does 2 in a row in a short time span. So sometimes you don't need to worry about an attack at all like that. So yeah, the good thing to know is it's very easy to hit this boss. Now this boss is a very short one, considering I only had 2 needle upgrades, whilst bosses like Scarsing and Carmelita that have 500 less HP than this boss, somehow is like a whole minute longer. So it's really just how often you're able to hit this boss that makes it so quick. So needle upgrades are a big help here. So even with only 2 needle upgrades like I have right now, it's still pretty average speed for an Act 3 boss, as most Act 3 boss no-hits I did took around 3 minutes with this many needle upgrades, except for the Void ones, which mostly just took 2 minutes, but some of them did take 3 minutes. So yeah. This guy really just, I don't have any tips, just get used to how long his jumps are. Don't use parry, even though I used parry. I did use parry at the start of the fight to save me, but I could have easily just done a wall jump to save me too. So yeah, kind of just don't use parry like I did, because I only got to use it once in this fight. And try using something more reasonable like Silk Spear or the Pale Nails or something. Unless you're not allowing yourself to use Silk Skills either, that's also fine, because I didn't really use Silk Skills in this fight. Sprint attacks are also pretty good for this guy, I'd say, even though I don't think I used it this fight. But you can do a sprint attack and then instantly attack again after doing the sprint attack to get 2 hits in. I know it sounds like I'm giving so many tips for a boss that I said I had no tips for. This fight was also really weird, he kept on glitching out so much in this fight too. But like, I'm really not giving you that many tips. I really just said pay attention to his repositioning. All I'm really saying is just don't get mesmerized by how cool he looks, and just remember things, just memorize his attack patterns is all I'm really saying. Of course, this is my 2nd time ever fighting him, too. I'm trying to know his, like, this is my 2nd time ever fighting him, and too, so the fact that I hit him 4th try and it was my 2nd time ever fighting him is kind of insane. So yeah, just memorize the attack pattern, really. It's just one tip, it just took me a long time to say, because I'm not just going to stay silent for the whole boss fight. So you can just watch a different video of someone doing Cross King Kong if you want to see that. But yeah, so next, Nihilith. This one I actually do have some tips on. So firstly, of course, wow, that's loud. That's louder than I remember. Like I've already explained before in part 1, I have like whenever I'm using like the capture card thing, I can see how much noise everything is making, and the noise is going into the orange meter, whilst my voice is only going like to the green meter whenever I talk on like the noise thing. You'll understand if you make videos yourself. So yeah, this boss is very loud, so I'd recommend turning the sound down and fighting them, unlike me here. So yeah, basically, whenever fighting this boss, just hit the balls at them. The spiky balls that spawn in. Actually, that might not have been very clear. Balls is what I mean to say. It might sound. I don't think I said balls very clearly. I feel like the subtitles probably would not have picked that up. Not that I picked up anything else I said in this video so far. But yeah, basically, this is the phase where you really want the tips. So remember that whenever they shoot this thing out, there's a little explosion whenever they hit the wall. Whenever they do that attack. Also, you look gross when they do it. But yeah, that attack will like making a little pollen explosion, tiny pollen explosion whenever each projectile hits the wall. So don't just be thinking the second it hits the wall, you can go into that spot. So kind of just stand in one space. Also, parrying can sometimes be really annoying. Because one time I parried their little slash attack, but then whenever my parry ended and my hitbox activated again, even though you get iframes after you parry, I got spawned directly inside with a spike cell on the wall. Even though I did my parry directed towards the right, so I should be sliding to the left, I still got hit by it because I was like my half hitbox, I guess, activated right as my parry ended. And it ended inside of the, and like my hitbox spawned in again on those spikes, even though I had iframes, is kind of how it is. But yeah, now my real tip is, just be aggressive. This fight took 3 minutes and I was being aggressive, so being patient is probably going to make this a 5-minute fight, maybe even a 6-minute fight. So just be aggressive and do what I did there. Do as many pogos as you possibly can. It's very easy to pogo off this boss. They all, normally, they'll stagnate. If you hit them during their phase transition, which you can hit them 5 or 6 times, I don't think you can hit them any more than 6, unless like, you preemptively hit them before they even do the transition, just knowing they're going to do it or something. But yeah, basically, they'll probably stagger right after the phase starts, so just keep on pogoing off them whenever the phase starts. They actually don't have a hitbox when it's staggered, so you can go inside their hitbox when poking them whenever staggered, but because their hitbox activates right after and gets much, and just goes back to normal again right after done staggering, I would not recommend going inside of it, but maybe you could do some sort of like slash pogo thing, I don't know. But yeah, every time they do the pollen attack, you want to parry them to do a bunch more damage. Now the next boss for this video will actually be Skullslinger Carmelita. But actually before that, let's go over Clawfather. So, with Clawfather, firstly, I would not always recommend pogoing off Clawfather, because at first it makes sense to not pogo, because like, he doesn't take damage because he has a little helmet on. I don't know why the Claws in the Court of Claws and Clawfather have helmets on, but you can't do damage with pogoing, but when he's in the middle of an attack you can damage him whilst pogoing, but I would not recommend pogoing off him though, because it's actually just better to either parry that or just hit him normally and then just jump over it. Unless there's like ads nearby that you can parry him to kill the ads very easily, but with 2 needle upgrades the ads don't die even with all the ticks. Hitting them with the parry, you'd have to hit them once after. But hitting them with 1 tick of the parry and then hitting them once after is also fine too, I guess. But yeah, so I would recommend not trying to poke off him. And this is why, because even though he leaves himself open for a pogo here, messing up a pogo can be really bad, because his hitbox is so large, if you miss a pogo, you can't just claw line out of it, you're gonna get hit like that. See, I was 1 hit away from beating him, and that happened. I died 1 hit away from beating him because I decided I wanted the pogo rather than just dashing to the left after. I think it's safe just not pogo off this boss, even if he does give you a pogo opportunity, and just dash to the side and hit him after he's done with his face slams. Because missing that pogo just lost me the whole fight there, as you can see. So even if pogoing is good, sometimes, it's not that good. I'd rather just pogo off the enemies, just to like gain height, rather than actually pogoing off the boss to do damage, and it's better to just dash away and be safe. Same with most bosses in the game with Hunter Crest. but especially with this one, considering his hitbox is very janky, and even if his hitbox is wide, that doesn't mean that you should pogo off of him. Even if Boston, like even pogoing off of Scarcy and Carmelita is better, and she has a tiny hitbox. So that's a little tip for no hitting. If you're using Hunter Crest like I was, because that's my favourite crest, and I happened to use it for the whole challenge, just don't pogo off for most bosses, especially Clawfather because of how janky his hitbox is. Anyways, next is this actual attempt. So I've already established, just don't pogo off of him really, unless you really need to, and and it's good to just pogo off the enemies, especially these ones, because these ones don't have helmets protecting them. Of course, this little triple parry I did there saved me. But it's also good to get your no-hit meter up before the fight starts. Do a double eagle strike, and then if you really if you time it well, you can actually get another regular hit in after. And because of double eagle hitting both hitting him with both eagle strike hits on Hunter Crest does triple the damage of the regular eagle strike, and you get a regular one in. You're doing like 4 hits before the fight even starts. And whenever he summons in as, remember, he stands still for so long whilst he's in that animation. Same with that attack, he also stands still for so long. So there's lots of moments in this fight where you can just hit him so easily. It's only really if he's like walking backwards away from you that you can't really hit him, because then he's probably going to do a triple bang attack. But the triple bang attack is barely in range anyway, so it's good to just be very greedy with this boss, but not using pogos, like I've already established. So yeah, that was the Clawfather there. So yeah, I like just parry to kill the enemies and then just hit them once after doing parry to finish them off. But the parry is normally what I do for most of my damage on the enemies and the Clawfather. So yeah, now the final boss in this video that I'll be going over is the woman herself, Scarsinger Carmelita. Doesn't that look cool? So let's go into the Scarsinger and Carmelita fight then. So, I did not know they had 2 R's in the Scarsinger's name. A new thing every day. I only just noticed that now. But yeah, so basically with Scarsinger and Carmelita, so there's many different ways I fought them in my attempts, and throughout my attempts I learnt that it's good to be patient. So every time you hit her, she'll instantly do an attack. Even if she blocks you whenever you try hitting her, she'll still do an attack, like right after. So in the first phase, she never does any combos apart from the double slash spin combo, or just in one of my attempts I noticed that she can actually just combine a double slash with anything else. So just like a double slash combo, but normally it's just a double slash spin combo. So as long as you just don't go behind her during her triple slash attack this one, then she won't do combo, she won't do that. So you always know when they're going to do combos. So every time they do an attack like that, just dash over to them and attack them. They take so long before doing another attack that if you just pay attention to animations and see how long the animation is, or they like jump backwards to reposition themselves to do an attack. Then as long as that has not happened, as long as the animation hasn't lasted too long, or they not jumped back yet. That probably sounded so weird. I'll say that again. As long as they've not had like their idle animation for too long and not jumped backwards yet, then they're probably not going to attack, so it's good to just hit them even if they might block you. I'm pretty sure their blocks only happen whenever like their blocks only happen if you hit them in the middle of like switching their animation or something like that. I don't know. I think it's dependent on their animation, but I might be wrong. So in the second phase, they get new combos. So whenever they do certain attacks, you just need to be prepared for a combo. So just prepare for a combo. It's good to pogo off them during that, but if you miss the pogo, you die unless you parry after. aka cross-stitch parry, not regular parry. aka just hitting it, and regular parry is just hitting an attack at the same time it's about to hit you, like the thing you saw at the start of the fight. So this is the third phase. But yeah, so it's kind of just good whenever they do the throw attack and this attack, the jump attack, is always good to be prepared for second attack. Of course, I parried there with regular parry. So yeah, this is a regular parry. That's whenever you hit an attack at the same time as it's about to hit you. So yeah, this is a very long fight, but it doesn't feel that long because you're going to be so locked in whenever doing it. So yeah, it's actually a very hard fight to no-hit. I'm definitely most proud about this no-hit. Honestly, I feel like I made progress slower on this one than I made progress on Lost, than the amount of progress I made on Lost Lace. So yeah, this boss is pretty easy to no-hit once you get used to it. It's very easy to get consistent, but it takes forever to do that. Like, whenever I was trying to no-hit this boss, every day I kind of just play the game for like 30 minutes to like an hour or something, maybe like sometimes even 20 minutes or something, and just fight this boss for that time before I just give up and then just go on about my day, and then like the next day I'll fight them again. Kind of like what I did with when I was fighting Absolute Radiance and Hollow Knight for the first time. Because I really didn't like spend, because I really didn't spending so long in trying to no-hit them in one day just to lose all my skill the next day. But yeah, with enough practice you'll learn their attack patterns and get them. You can also, whenever you do like a triple slash or a spin attack, you can actually like jump and then hit them on the way down after you jump to hit like their neck before they will probably just jump away after. But if you do that like in the middle of the attack, you can get a second hit on after hitting like their neck whenever they're in the middle of the attack, because their head also has a hitbox, of course, even if it doesn't seem like it at first. So sometimes you can get 2 hits, but I didn't really do that on that attempt. I don't think I did at all on that attempt, but I used to do that. So yeah, I think that's a very fun boss fight. On my first playthrough, I didn't really like them very much. Of course, I do the winning dance at the end there. But now that I've no-hit them, I honestly love them a lot more. They are now honestly one of my favourite bosses in this game. Which makes sense, since lots of people say that Scarsing and Carmelis is the best boss in the game, even though I still think Lost Lace is better. So of course now, you know what happens next. Well, you've seen the other part in the other parts of the series. You know what happens next. Outro time. So yeah, thanks for watching. I guess. I probably won't. But if I figure out how to, I'll try making a playlist of this series. For you to watch, but I probably won't do that, considering, like, I want to do that, but, like, I don't really know how to make playlists yet on YouTube, so unless I figure it out, I probably won't do that. But, yeah, if you haven't watched the other parts yet, then I recommend you watch them now. I've watched this one, if you like this one, of course, if you really like this one, of course. But, yeah, so please like and subscribe, share with your friends and family, and put notifications on. That was no-hitting Silksong Bosses Part 3, or I guess Episode 3, whatever. And I guess I'll see you in Part 4, which will be the final part. Lost Lace looks a little bit different today. That's very suspicious.